Hello everyone, we are live with University of Sheffield. Over to you, Samreen.
Thank you so much, Deepika, for having us today. Hi everyone, my name is Samreen Khan and I represent the University of Sheffield in India. With me today, I have my colleague Tom. Dr. Tom Buckley is a lecturer in international business strategy at the University of Sheffield and will be presenting today a taster masterclass on the SUMS school as well. We have Alison, our regional manager from South Asia, and my colleagues Akshit and Kritika from Team Delhi, Team India, and Suparna, our recent alumni from HRM with CIPD graduating in 2019. So over to you, Tom, before you can start your taster class. Thank you so much, everyone, for connecting with us today.
Thank you, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be with you here today. I just had to unmute myself because otherwise you would see my mouth going and no words coming out. So thank you for joining us. I hope you're all well. And today I'm going to give you a taster session of one of the first topics we cover in the core international business module MGT 61075, and that is globalization. And today I'm going to be talking about globalization in 2021. But before I do, I want to introduce myself and say namaste, hello. I'm Dr. Tom Buckley. I'm originally from Yorkshire, the county where Sheffield is located. I went to university at the University of Newcastle. I graduated in 2009. I then stayed in the northeast of England to do my master's at Durham in 2010. I then worked for a year as a research assistant at Manchester Metropolitan University. I worked on a number of projects, including ones funded by the UN and a few other research councils, and I really enjoyed that. However, I realized that while I was developing a lot of theoretical knowledge and that really interested me, I wanted to actually build some practical knowledge. So I joined the retailer, Marks and Spencer's, as a commercial manager in 2011. However, my desire to do a PhD, my desire to research international business didn't really go away. So I went back to academia and I received my PhD from the University of Reading in 2017. A year later, I joined the University of Sheffield, and I've just had my 3-year anniversary, actually, as I joined Sheffield on the 1st of March 2018 as a lecturer in international business strategy. And this is me in one of my most recent visits to India. And, you know, I really love my job. I get to travel around, or at least I did before the pandemic, and explore how different organizations operate in different cultures, why sometimes they don't operate differently, and the reasons for that. So I really get a lot out of being able to talk to you today and being able to teach at the University of Sheffield. Before we go, I want to pose a question. So we always try to get our students to think before at the start of class. And as today's topic is on globalization, I want to pose this statement to you, that continued globalization is inevitable and irreversible. Is this a statement that you agree with? And you know, if we're in class right now, I'd want you to give reasons for your answers, okay? So it's not just necessarily a simple case of saying yes or no, continued globalization is inevitable, or globalization isn't inevitable. So what is your initial response to this question? Is this something that you agree with, and why do you agree with it? Or if it's something that you disagree with it, why do you disagree with it? And it's important, again, to think through logically and give reasons for your belief for or against this statement. Now, as you can see, I want to start by talking about cricket. Now, this might seem quite a strange thing to talk about. I can see Samreen rolling her eyes on the corner of the screen as well. But this is actually an international cricket ground in the United States. This is a cricket ground in Argentina. Now, I don't know about you, but the United States and Argentina aren't countries that would necessarily be associated with cricket. The UK, England, yes, India, yes, but not necessarily the United States or Argentina. So what's going on here? Why are these cricket matches being played in countries that we normally wouldn't associate with the sport? And I think here we start to pick up on one aspect of globalization, and that is social and cultural globalization, the movement of ideas, pastimes, hobbies, sports, the exchange of information, the movement of people across borders. Okay, so this is one aspect of globalization. And also, when we think about globalization and we think about it relative to cricket, this is actually the original pavilion in Buenos Aires in Argentina. We also see that globalization isn't necessarily a modern phenomenon. Okay, it's been with us for quite a long time, and that's something that I'll pick up on as we go through the lecture. But globalization or modern globalization has not occurred in a vacuum. And over the past 70 years, there have been a decline in the barriers to the free flow of goods, services, and capital. So since 1945, what we've seen is the progressive reduction in trade barriers in the movement of goods and capital across borders. And this is really accelerated over 40 years, which makes us think that actually globalization is quite a modern phenomenon. But in fact, as we'll see, it's actually part of a longer process that has evolved over time. And in the previous images, I was talking about social and cultural aspects of globalization, but this movement towards a world where economies become interdependent, rely on each other, individual countries become more integrated, we can refer to as economic globalization. Okay, so we can start picking apart this concept of globalization. We can have social and cultural globalization, and we can have economic globalization as well. And this has really been facilitated by declining transport and communication costs as well. So the cost of moving around the world and the cost of communicating has decreased rapidly over the past century. In fact, it's the reason why I had the pleasure of speaking to you today, because of access to high-speed internet. We can connect. Okay, the cost of this has dramatically declined, and it's enabling, again, this sharing of ideas and the interdependence of the economy. So we again think of the idea of globalization as a multidimensional phenomenon. And when we're thinking about economic globalization, we can again divide that even further. We can split that up into the globalization of markets on the one hand, and the globalization of production on the other hand. And the globalization of markets refers to the merging of historically distinct and separate national markets. And this again has been facilitated or enabled by the reduction of trade barriers that has enabled companies to buy and sell across borders outside their home countries. Okay, so one of the driving forces of globalization over the past 70 years, as I've said, has been that reduction in trade barriers, and this has enabled the globalization of markets. The globalization of production, however, refers to the sourcing of services and goods from locations around the world. And often the most global of markets, or the most aren't the markets for consumer products. they're actually the markets for industrial material. Okay, so while we might think about buying and selling activity or consumer goods as quite global, actually it's more standardized goods, more industrial goods, commodities that tend to operate most as the most global of markets. And with the globalization of production, what we see is companies moving their activities around the world in order to try and access natural resources, to try and access energy, to try and access land, and to try and access capital as well. And this is really driving globalization, or it has been. And there are a number of advantages of globalization for companies, for businesses. These include the ability to lower costs, particularly seizing on labour arbitrage opportunities. And that's a fancy way of saying locating certain activities in low-wage countries. Globalization also enables business to access new sources of supply. And these two advantages are linked to the globalization of production. The access to new markets in which to buy and sell goods and services, and the ability for companies to grow much more quicker, again, advantages of globalization. These advantages are much more closely linked to the globalization of markets. But where there are opportunities, there are also challenges for businesses as well. Whereas before, companies would compete in local markets, perhaps, you know, either within their own region or within their own country. Now, companies increasingly have to compete with either much larger multinational companies or companies that are based in their home region, their home country, that are also competing internationally. So it's increased competition as well. And conventionally, we think of the actors in international business and globalization as large multinational corporations, companies like Tata, for instance, or Alibaba or Nike, but also smaller SMEs also engage and contribute to the internationalization of business, and they also are affected by this increasing competition. There's greater managerial complexity as well. Managers have to wrestle with much more difficult issues than previously, and this adds an extra burden as well. There is information asymmetries and there's much more uncertainty, which increase the complexity of the managerial challenges. Like I've said, there are higher levels of uncertainty, but there's also greater pressure on the labour force as well. So workers are more exposed. Their skills are at more danger of becoming redundant over time, and the capacity to constantly upskill, retrain in order to stay relevant and to keep contributing to the economy presents a huge challenge as well. And as well as being a multi-dimensional concept, okay, looking at the social and cultural aspects of globalization on the one hand, the economic aspects of globalization on the other hand, and the opportunities and challenges there are for business as well. I also mentioned that globalization was best seen as a long-run process. And in fact, we can start this in the 16th and 17th century, okay, when large trading companies were formed either directly or with support of the state. The most famous of these, or the most notorious, if you want to use that phrase, was the East India Trading Company. And you could even say that right from the beginning of globalization, you know, before even we're talking about modern globalization that's occurred over the past 70 years, India has been central to globalization and how it's evolved. I'm starting here in the 16th and 17th century, but I had a friend who once told me an Indian friend from Bangalore actually, and he said, it was India that defeated Alexander the Great back in 300 BC. He couldn't, he conquered all of Europe and he swept through, but he never conquered India. And you see, even though we're starting in the 16th and 17th century, we can go much further back and think about this evolution of globalization and different phases of it. But the Industrial Revolution occurring in the 18th century, initiated by the advances of steam technology, changed firms' abilities and countries' abilities to engage in international business activity. And earlier, we commented upon the decline in trade barriers and also the impact that lower transportation and communication costs have had on enabling globalization. And here again, when we look at globalization in the long run and really try to understand it and how firms have contributed to it, we see that policy is really important with the trade barriers, but technology is really important as well. So these are the two real drivers of globalization at the moment. It's technological on the one hand, and it's the policy and the governance on the other hand. And some of the companies that we might most associate with the modern economy, some of the major powerhouses, certainly some of the major European multinational companies in the finance industry, such as HSBC and Siemens, the German engineering company, a lot of their origins owes much to the investment that they made, in the 18th century. So it's not just the fact that globalization has been evolving over a long time. It's also the fact that companies who are still major players in key industries, such as finance, such as engineering, they also have evolved and grown with this and had to react to it. And the way that companies interact or within the global environment has changed as well. So initially, there was a lot of primary investment in primary production. So here we have a graph of foreign direct investment in 1914, a pie chart, and a lot of the foreign direct investment, a lot of investment companies was making was in primary production, access to raw materials in order to fund the economies that were growing. And much of this, as we've seen, was driven or owned by the UK. However, between 1914 and 1938, what we see is a decline in the relative importance of the UK, and the fact that the US begins to rise and becomes increasingly more important. But the distribution of where this investment was going, of where companies were investing in previous areas of globalization, was slightly different too. So there was a lot of investment in Latin America and Asia at this time, a lot of investment in developing economies in previous countries. But that hasn't really been the case over the past 70 years. Okay, over the past 70 years, instead, multinationals have been much more market seeking. Okay, US multinationals have invested in Western economies in order to sell products. So we see much more of a globalization of markets there. And from the 1960s, international companies began to slice up their supply chains, searching for lowest cost suppliers. And this led to the offshoring of the relocation of activity. Okay, we can think about the offshoring of IT services, again, in Bangalore, a major hub of that. And that was driven by multinationals changing motives for foreign direct investment and looking for cheaper sources of supply. And again, coming back to this idea that policy is a really important driver of globalization and the overall environment that companies invest in. The reforms of the Reagan and Thatcher governments, followed by the emergence of the World Trade Organization in the WTO, has led to an economic model known as the Washington Consensus. And this really dominated until 2008 and the financial crisis and the collapse of Lehman Brothers. And since then, this motive, this drive that we've picked on has almost gone into a reverse or has stagnated. And what we see is the greater importance over the past decade of India, China, and other emerging economies, and their increased importance, not only for multinationals in advanced countries, but also for emerging multinationals as well. So obviously the most, that takes us up to where we are at the moment and the impact that COVID-19 has had. And we can distinguish between three different aspects of the impact that the virus has had. The first is the immediate impact, which caused a massive shock to both the demand and supply side of major economies around the world, and governments and central banks had to introduce policies to mitigate some of the impacts from the environment, had to mitigate some of the impacts on the economy. And as well as the immediate impact that COVID-19 has had, we've also had the short-term impact as well. So we've had economic scarring, we've had stagnation and unemployment, and there's also become a psychological impact as well. And this challenge of globalization, of uncertainty, the managerial complexity, the pressures on labour that I talked about earlier, this is intensified as a result of the pandemic. And even in countries where that has handled it relatively well and has not seen a massive toll in terms of the number of deaths, there's been an economic impact as well. Oil prices have been driven low. There's been a decline in business investment. Tourism, international travel has declined as well. So there's been a short-term impact. And this poses operational, market and financial challenges. And when we get to the long-term impact of COVID-19, we've almost got uncertainty squared. We need to think about what's going to happen to the global value chains that I talked about earlier, as companies that have divided their supply chain and located activities in different low-cost economies. How are they going to respond to COVID? Are they going to retrench? Are they going to use some of the technology of the fourth industrial revolution, additive manufacturing, 3D printing, automated production to shorten their supply chain, so to come out to decrease international investment? What's people's behavior going to be like? Companies don't know this. What confidence are people going to have? There's been a huge shift towards streaming and other services as a result of people have been kept indoors. But what are they going to buy? How are they going to buy it? And how are people going to work? Is there going to be less international travel, less office or remote working? And what does this mean for big cities like Mumbai and London, the financial centres? Okay, how are they going to react to this? These questions still are unknown. And given what I've been saying about how globalization has evolved as being driven by technology and policy, these are big questions that companies don't necessarily have answers to at the moment. And while COVID is the immediate challenge, we also need to think about the sustainability as well. So here we've got a recent cartoon from The Economist with the world boxing with the virus, and on the outside of the ring is climate change. And for all the material benefits, for all the economic benefits that globalization has brought, these have come at dramatic environmental and social costs as well. And often the drive to do this, it seems to be as though advanced rich nations are preaching about the environment when they've done most of the damage, and the industrialization is still going on in emerging markets and developing countries. But actually we see with some of the initiatives that are going on in India around the smart cities and the need for more sustainable living, that there's a real investment opportunity there as well. So we would then have a quick quiz on what I've said, which would hopefully allow you to interact with me a bit in the lecture. So, true or false? The most global of markets are those for consumer products. Are you able to identify two challenges and two opportunities of globalization for business? And then maybe a longer answer. How have declining transport and communication costs facilitated globalization? So this would be an activity that we typically work through in groups, and we'd interact and talk about it, and then we'd go through. So just to summarize the key points here, globalization is a multidimensional historical process. We've seen high levels of globalization in earlier eras. The challenges and complexities of managing internationally are not new, but they've evolved over time. The current challenges businesses are facing include operating in the midst of a global health crisis and the ecological cost of open and integrated markets. And really, what's the big takeaway for this? What's the managerial implication? What do managers need to know? Managers need to be able to assess critically and analytically how their company, their competitors, and their industry are exposed to these challenges and what opportunities they provide and how they can seize on them. And this would be the reading list for this week's lecture as well. So thank you very much. I hope that has been a whistle-stop tour of globalization in 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. Would you be able to tell us a bit about your course, International Management, that you teach on?
Yeah, so I'll just give you a quick overview of it. We have it's quite a small course, which is nice. We have about 60 students from around the world, and typically what we have is a set of core modules around international business, marketing, global marketing, international human resource management as well. And what we try and do is balance the lectures with seminars and give you an opportunity to interact as much as possible in groups and build relationships with the rest of your course. We try to get speakers in when we can from industry to talk to you. We run career fairs throughout the semester as well that give you the opportunity to interact with potential employers both in Sheffield and nationally and internationally as well. And then in the summer, typically what we have students do is a student project or a company dissertation. And with the company project, typically work on a real life problem. So employers contact the university, and students apply to work with these companies in order to work on a problem that they're dealing with, and that forms their final MSc project as well. The feedback we get is always good. It's always a really nice, friendly course. We don't go too quickly, but we do push students as well. So you'll find it stimulating but rewarding at the same time, I think. Is there any other key points you'd like me to mention, Samarine? Or
I think that's perfect, Tom. I can see a couple of questions about the course. I think Deepika will take that in the end during the Q&A. So I'd now ask Alison to join us and talk a bit more about the popular courses at the Sheffield University Management School. Over to you, Alison.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So yeah, I'm going to run through a few points specifically about the management school, and then I'll pass back on to my colleague, Sam. So I'm just going to wait for my colleague's computer to warm up. Apologies, I have a very slow machine, so I'm hoping I don't talk out of sync of the presentation, but any questions, obviously pop them in the chat and I'm sure we can cover them at the end. So as said, hi everyone, I'm the regional manager. You may have seen me at events and or email inquiries as well, so thank you for listening. Yeah, next slide please, Kritika. So I'm going to talk to you today just specifically a bit about studying at the Sheffield Management School and hopefully build your appetite on wanting to come and study with us in September 2021. So just wanted to highlight a bit about the mission and the vision of the University of Sheffield generally, but also specifically the Management School. So at the university, we are overall driven by the desire to make a difference in the world, as highlighted by Tom in some of his slides as well. And we are confident as a university that we provide students with that knowledge that they can then go on and make important changes in the world and just make modern life much, hopefully lots of research that we're doing helps in those positive contributions all around the world. And that's what our teaching endeavours to do. So I think that was just to highlight that important fact in the first few slides. So yeah, next one, please. And this just highlights again the specific vision of the management school, which also, as the globalization topic that Tom discussed, specifically a lot of our curriculum does look at the social responsibility as well. So I wanted to highlight that. And yeah, next one, please. So yeah, some reasons now of why you might specifically want to look at the Sheffield Management School. And there are a number of reasons. So the next slide, thank you. We are a member of the Russell Group of research universities, 24 of them in the UK. Very similar, as I'm sure you may be more familiar with the Ivy League of the US. So this is very, very comparable to the UK. And that is important for a number of different reasons. So the reason that it's quite important for those students that are interested maybe specifically in research. So we, as a Russell Group, gain approximately about 2/3 of all the university research grants that are available and contract income in the UK. So if you are interested in research, it's always good to look at a Russell Group institution for that reason. We are World Top 100, so we are currently ranked 93rd in the QS world ranking, so we are a top institution in the world. And we're also ranked #1. It's slightly missed off the screen there, apologies. But we are #1 in a number of different student satisfaction surveys as well. You can see the 3 accreditations there, which I'll go on to the next slide, and it explains a bit more about the importance of the 3 accreditations that we have at the University Management School. So I'll just go on to the next slide, please, Kritika. So yes, we're what's called Triple Crown accredited, and you can see the 3 logos at the bottom there. And the reason it's important, well, the Triple Crown accreditation, only 100 business management schools in the world hold that accreditation. And I think what's quite interesting, I think the 100th university was actually an Indian institution that was given it, which is quite interesting. Now, what's important about thinking about going to a Triple Crown accredited university is it recognises the quality of teaching. It's also internationally recognised by employers. So employers are aware of the Triple Crown accreditation, but it's also, we can lose the accreditation. So it's also very important to us, and why we like to tell students about it, is we as a university have to do a lot to comply with standards to be able to keep that Triple Crown accreditation. And that is specifically, obviously, working alongside our accredited bodies to make sure that our teaching is of high quality. So professional engagement, ensuring diversity within the classroom. So as again, Tom highlighted in his presentation, the importance of group discussion from different students from all around the world, that is really good in the classroom to encourage greater learning outcomes as well. And obviously it looks at community involvement, which is the main vision that I mentioned earlier as well. And we specifically ranked as well our management school 16th in the Complete University Guide, and also specifically for our accounting and finance course as well. And again, as mentioned, because we are a Russell Group institution, we have access, we gain a lot of the research contracts, and we are 14th in the UK for our research. So that's worth noting as well. So yeah, next slide, please. So it's not only the Triple Crown accreditation that we have, we also have the postgraduate courses that I will share with you shortly. Also have some are accredited by all of these professional accreditations. And again, just to highlight the importance of why it's to look out for what your course is accredited by, is again, it ensures the programme meets high standards of quality. Employers do look for this, and it's also maybe necessary for some of your future career aspects as well. So it's an quality authority from one of these accreditations. It's important to have a look at if the course has that. So yeah, next slide, please. So yeah, we have a number of different courses available to you, which I'll go on to speak to you about shortly. We have, as you can see, there are a large number of students studying with us from all around the world. The University of Sheffield generally welcomes students from over 150 different countries. This year obviously has been a bit different about the student experience, but generally the University of Sheffield, even in this bizarre environment we find ourselves in, a very virtual environment, we have been doing a lot to make sure the student experience is as good as possible. And we have an award-winning students union, which I'm sure my colleagues may go on to speak about. And obviously our students, Aparna, can go on and talk to you about her experience specifically at Sheffield as well. So yeah, next slide, please. So yeah, just to, as sort of mentioned about our students union, that's the picture of it at night, nicely lit up there at Sheffield. So we are ranked first in the north for graduate employment, which is obviously very important to note, that we have dedicated careers advice centres which will help you find your dream job. And again, I'm sure colleagues will go on to say, but we now have the graduate immigration route visa that you can apply to. So that's important to note. We have been ranked #1 for our students union. Again, it's very different to what I know of the students union in India. So we have over 400 different sports clubs and societies for students to join into. It's not just sports, as mentioned. There's we've got a Harry Potter Appreciation Society randomly. We have a very active Indian Student Society. We have a Bollywood Dance Society. So there's lots of different things for you to join in on and make sure the student experience is one that you will remember. So yeah, next slide, please. So yes, state-of-the-art facilities, that's one of the things that you're specifically coming to the UK to do, is to learn and use our award-winning and world-class facilities. One of those specifically at the management school is the Bloomsburg market data. So we have, I think it's about 16 computers dedicated to specifically looking at the stock market, and it used the same software as it does in the London Stock Exchange. So students can get a real taste of looking at the statistics and seeing if they can make profits in the trading room. So that's specifically liked by a number of our students. And that's one of the fantastic facilities, just one of them that we offer at the management school. And I'm sure I can go on to explain a bit more about what else is available later on this slide. And again, I'm sure Saparna will speak a bit about what her experience was in the management school as well. So yeah, next slide, please. So a bit about the courses. So obviously Tom's talked about the course that he teaches on, the international management, but there are also a number of different courses that we provide, all listed on your screen there. And be mindful, as already mentioned, the majority are all accredited by specific bodies as well. Already explained why that is important for you to think about. So just wanted to give you a bit of an overview. So obviously our management courses will equip you with a number of different skills that you can take into the business world. Obviously, a majority of the ones that are most sought after by our Indian students are the international management programs and supply chain management. As highlighted, the management programs give you a really good, clear overview of business management in general. You can look at it will give you learning aspects of the new approaches in management. And it's all of our courses really develop the communication skills as well for our students to take onto the workplace. One I also wanted to highlight, because we've seen an increase, is the logistics and supply chain management course. We've seen an increase in interest from India, and it is specifically one to probably look at as well. It's of interest. What we've begun to realise is due to the globalization, as Tom's highlighted, and the variety of different products and product life cycles, there's a lot of topical discussions, notably in India at the moment. So supply chain management is also a course to look out for and get some more understanding on. So yeah, next slide, please. And just to highlight, actually, all the modules are listed on the website. So if you're wanting specific module information, that is all available and very clearly outlined on our website as well. So entry requirements for our postgraduate courses. We do have a stage admission process, and we do, on average, we ask for a minimum of actually a 60% equivalent from a reputable institution in India. The higher the percentage, the better. So the majority of our offer holders will obviously hold a 70% from a recognised university. IELTS, so again, we do have some IELTS waivers. So if you have your year 12 English at over 70% over the last 4 years, so from May for 2021, from May 2017, we would accept that and waiver the IELTS. Otherwise, we would be looking for a 6.5 with none of the components under a 6. So yeah, next slide, please. So yeah, we do offer the Sheffield MBA, which for international students will be full-time. We do require, and I think this is on the next slide actually, so I'll probably just ask you to move on to the next slide just to highlight the entry requirements. Yeah. So obviously we're looking for an equivalent of a 60% from a good institution in your undergraduate degree. But it's important to note that we do look for a minimum of 3 years work experience. So it's not something you can do straight after graduation of your undergraduate. We would expect you to have relative work experience, be involved with potentially strategic management decisions in order to think about taking our MBA. Now, our MBA it's a 12-month program, and what's quite unique compared to a number of our other competitors, we have a really good, we have about 30 to 35 students in the last cohort, I think it was, with a really good mix of male and female students from a number of different countries. So it was a really diverse classroom with some really good classroom discussion. So that's one thing to note as well. And obviously it looks at specific strategic leadership skills that you'll gain from that course. And just to highlight, actually, entrepreneurship is very important in the management school. So we do have an aspect of entrepreneurship skills taught throughout all our programs. Sorry, yeah, next slide, thank you. Yeah, just to highlight now some of our 2021 tuition fees. So on the screen now, you'll see the main tuition fees of the majority of our management courses. So they're all on the screen there. And I know my colleague Sam is going to go into more detail about the scholarships that we have available as well. But they're the fees that we have for 2021, 2022. We do only have a September intake, so one intake in the year. And all the information on fees can be found on that link on the website as well. And I think that might be the last slide, but I'll just ask my colleague to go again. Oh, there's a few more. So supporting our students. Yes, next one then, please. Critica. I'll just go on to some of the services that are available to support students. When you're studying your postgraduate degree with us, obviously there are a number of academics that you will have access to, and you'll have a personal tutor as well as part of your research projects. And they are there available to speak to. Obviously, there'll be dedicated time slots, but there's always somebody there to help you specifically. So you don't have to wait for your dedicated time with your personal tutor to get the support that you need. And I think that's really important. We do take the well-being of our students it's very important to us here at Sheffield as well. So we do have dedicated support staff that are not only trained academically, but also to look out for specific and maybe other health related, mental health, stress, for example, when it's exam time, students regularly have stressed out moments, and the staff there are trained to look out for those specific students that might just need a bit more help. Specifically international students not being away from home, there's going to be more that they may want to think about. So we've got a lot of staff on site to be able to help you there. So yeah, next slide, please. Oh, sorry, I just want to mention, I hadn't mentioned on there as well about our employability, but yeah, it's probably on this next slide. But we do have a dedicated employability hub. So we have a career advice centre generally within the university, but the management school has a dedicated employability hub specifically for for management students. So that's quite unique at Sheffield to have a dedicated hub specifically, which are tailored specifically to management students. And the reason that's important is they will have links with some of the employers dedicated specifically to management in business and management companies. They have, obviously, as Tom said, we invite guest lectures sometimes in to speak with students. They would deliver specific skills workshops as well to make sure that your CV and your interview skills are specific to management. So that's really important to note, that you've got a dedicated employability hub in the management school, as well as the careers advice that's offered at the university generally as well, and they help you with all aspects, and obviously there will be dedicated team that can help you and give you information on the new graduate immigration route visa as well. So we have got an India team, as highlighted on the screen now, managed by Samreen, and obviously you've met Akshit and Kritika already as well, and their contact details. Feel free, obviously, at any point if you have any questions throughout the year, to get in touch with the team. I'm going to pass now on to Sam, who I think is going to discuss a bit more about the scholarships that we offer. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Alison. And I'm going to talk to you about the popular courses at Sheffield. Where is Sheffield, and what are the scholarships and deadlines associated with all the courses that you apply in Sheffield? I'll just wait for Kritika to share her screen now. Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, hi again, everyone. As I mentioned before, I am based out of Delhi, India, and I work alongside with Akshit and Kritika. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. I'm just going to quickly highlight some of the USPs which my colleagues Tom and Alison have already talked about. We are a world top 100 Russell Group university. We are ranked 93rd in the world, top 20 in the UK, and number 2 in Yorkshire and Humber. As you can see, we are top 50 most international universities in the world. That translates into the fact that we have over 28,000 students from 150 different countries. On your screen now is a quick map of where Sheffield is. So Sheffield is located right in the center in South Yorkshire. It is about 2 hours from London by train and about 45 minutes drive from Manchester, which is the closest airport as well. Sheffield is a very welcoming and safe city. And in fact, in 2018, we were ranked as one of the safest cities in the UK. We are also 25% more affordable than London and 10% more affordable than any other UK national average. So talking about the courses that we do not offer, because it's important to know what the university does not offer as well. Our courses in pharmacy, veterinary science, surgery, fine art, and sports. And moving on to what do we offer and what are popular courses, especially with regards to Indian students, we offer 6 faculties. We offer departments and courses under arts and humanities, engineering, medicine, dentistry and health, science, and social sciences. If we want to look at some of the most popular courses amongst in various departments and faculties, here are the list of the more important departments, and especially a lot of Indian students apply from these departments, and we are happy to take questions in the end about specific courses in these departments. We have the Department of Engineering, where the top courses would be automatic, materials engineering, mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering, computer science, electrical, and chemical. We also are very famous for the management school, as Alison mentioned, and the Department of Economics, School of Law, School of Architecture, Department of Journalism, and Information School, and the School of Health and Related Research, Department of Computer Science, and Politics and International Relations. I'll quickly highlight some of the most popular courses from these departments. I've just talked about our popular engineering courses. The other most popular course for our engineering school is the computer science course. We offer 3 kinds of computer science popular programs: the advanced computer science, the data analytics course, and the artificial intelligence and robotics course. We are number 5 in the UK in terms of research, and the university owns their own software company called Genesis, which guarantees almost all our undergraduate students a placement. And in terms of student experience, we are currently number 1 in Russell Group satisfaction. About the courses famous in our Faculty of Social Sciences, apart from management, since Tom and Alison have already talked about it, I'll focus on architecture. We are currently ranked number 1 in the UK for architecture, 4th in the UK overall, and our courses are accredited by RIBA Part 2. For example, the 2 years MArch course is accredited by RIBA Part 2. Law is top 10 by research in the UK, and we are currently top 100 in the world for law. In fact, for our undergraduate courses, we do not require LNAT, but we are still accredited by the Bar Council of India. Our journalism course is top 5 in the UK, and we are one of the best Russell Group universities for journalism in the UK, accredited by National Council for Training of Journalists and Professional Publishers Association. The other popular course we offer in the Faculty of Sciences are biosciences, where we are ranked 7th in the UK, and some of our most commonly applied programs by Indian students would be molecular biology and biotechnology, animal and plant sciences, antimicrobial resistance, and others. In chemistry, we have 4 Nobel laureates under our belt, and we are top 25 in the UK. We do extensive research in the area, and we currently started a new program from this year called Drug Discovery Sciences, which is closely related in the pharmacy industry. We also offer psychology, which is BPS accredited, and we are top 100 in the world for the same. With physics and astronomy, we are top 10 in the UK. We are top 10 in research in the UK and top 30 course-wise. We have close relationships with NASA, Hubble Space Telescope, and the Isaac Newton group of telescopes. So if you're interested in one of those courses, happy to chat about the same during the Q&A session. The other popular courses under the faculty, the School of Health and Related Research, would be clinical research, public health, masters in public dental health, human nutrition, etc. We are ranked 7th in the UK currently for dentistry and top 100 in the world. Another famous course amongst Indian students, especially PGT obviously, is the Information School. Just yesterday, under the QS Subject Rankings 2021, we received number 1 recognition in the world for the Information School. So we are number 1 in the world for information and library studies. We have a course which is extremely popular that covers big data, and if you want to become a type 2 data analyst scientist is the data science course, which is accredited by CILIP. Just moving on quickly to the employers who you could work for. I saw one of the questions on YouTube as well. So Sheffield hires one of the most sought after, graduates are hired by top employers in the world. Here are some top popular names of graduates that are hired by these companies. Airbus, Accenture, IBM, HSBC, KPMG, etc. As Alison mentioned, we have great industrial partnerships. We have over 125 partnerships, and we just renewed a partnership with Airbus and with Boeing last week. Fun facts about our employment. We are currently #1 in the north of England for producing most employable graduates and top in Yorkshire and Humber for graduate prospects. And 96% of our students graduates are in work or further study within 6 months of graduation. Thank you. I think this is a very important slide, and everybody wants to know more about the upcoming post-study work visa. And as Alison mentioned, I'll just quickly give you some insights on it. And it's just today we receive a bit more information about this visa. So it will be called the GIR, which is the Graduate Immigration Route. The UK government has announced about this route, and this will be applicable and launched from summer 2021, hopefully April 2021. The new route will allow you to remain in the UK for 2 years after your undergraduate or master's course, and for 3 years after you complete your PhD. It is only possible to apply for the visa inside the UK, and the visa fees is about £700, with an immigration surcharge also of £624. And the student would also require his cash letter in order to apply for this visa. So any more queries, we can obviously take up the questions in the Q&A session. Thank you, Kritika. Next slide. Another important slide about the scholarships. So we offer a generous amount of scholarships to our students. We offer 150 global scholarships of 25% each to PG students. Roughly around 10 to 15 students every year will get this scholarship. So you can apply for the scholarship once you have an offer with us, conditional or unconditional. The scholarship applications are now open, and the scholarship will remain open until the 17th of May, and the result will be announced on 11th of June. If you do not get the scholarship and you definitely accept your course by 18th of June, 4 p.m. UK time, you will get an automatic scholarship of £2,000 if you've applied for courses under the Faculty of Social Science and Arts and Humanities. If you applied with this for courses under the Faculty of Sciences and Engineering and accept your course again by 18th of June, 4 p.m. UK time, you will get £2,000 off the tuition fee one time only. We also have other scholarships for like Alan and Nesta for our international relations program, which covers your full fees, stipend, your living expenses, etc. And we also offer LLM scholarships, and details will be shared online on YouTube as well, and we can take questions during the Q&A. Next slide, Kritika. Just a quick mention on how to apply. All the PG students can apply online via the Postgraduate website. And obviously, we encourage everyone to apply through our premium partner, SI UK today, if you are watching us or attending this session. Next slide, Kritika. This is a very quick snapshot for the students who are looking to apply for PGT courses this year. All the courses listed on the website, if obviously you have to go to the link of this website, which we'll share on YouTube chat and during the Q&A as well, will be under the staged application courses. And mostly all our courses from management are under stage application except MBA and work psychology. Data science are most popular courses under information school, data analytics, advanced computer science under the Department of Computer Science, global journalism and international political and communication under journalism also, MA media and society. And those are the, and architecture is under stage, but does not require a deposit by the deadline. So the next slide will show you that all these courses are opened under a certain deadline. and we are currently in stage D. So all applications which are received from 1st of March till the 14th of April, we aim to return decisions by 20th of April. And all the students who get an offer on 20th of April will have 4 weeks, and by 20th of May, they have to accept and pay a deposit of £1,000. So on your screen are now currently the staged deposit deadline and the decisions to apply as well. Thank you, Kritika. I think we are now towards our last slide. So if anybody has questions, we are happy to answer during our Q&A. And I am happy to now invite our alumni talking about her student experience, Suparna Raju here. Over to you, Suparna. Thank you so much, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Am I audible? I'm Suparna and I'm from India. I'm from Kolkata, and I went to Sheffield to pursue my master's in human resource management with CIPD accreditation in 2017. And I went on a scholarship. I received the India Postgraduate Merit Scholarship. And I think going to Sheffield for my master's was literally one of the best decisions I've ever taken in my life. I'll just walk you through my admission process. As Samreen had pointed out about the admissions, I had literally applied in the stage F of applications. Because I had decided very later on that I want to pursue my master's in UK. And one of the main reason why I chose University of Sheffield was, of course, because the course that I had chosen to apply for was very appealing to me because of the accreditation and because of the modules also. They were very articulate. And I remember that I was going through the modules on the university website, and I had accounting and financial management. And math is clearly not my forte, and I was extremely freaked out about it. So I went on to email someone from the faculty in the management team, and they got back to me very quickly about what to expect in the course, because that was clearly a very important deciding factor for me if I should go for the course or not. And they kind of assured me that, you know, I'm going to be fine, and I was actually good at it. And also one more thing was that before going to Sheffield, I got in touch with the international student ambassadors through Facebook. So there was a separate Facebook group for international students, wherein these ambassadors who were studying in Sheffield at that point used to post about their daily experiences in Sheffield. For example, where to find Indian groceries, or like which university has what to offer, and all of that. So I was very much in touch with the international student ambassadors. So it was almost like when I reached Sheffield, it was like I knew every part of Sheffield, at least virtually. So that is one advice I would give to like prospective students. And coming back to the academics, and the main thing that I wanted to say was when I started studying in Sheffield, the education system was very, very different from what you experience in India or in any other country. There's a lot of importance given to critical thinking, as Tom had pointed out in his presentation earlier. That is literally a classroom session for you. That is exactly what you can expect in half an hour of a lecture session or something. Because, and it is very different because like you are made to think, you are made to either agree or disagree, and point it out and discuss with your I've discussed with your classmates as well, which is something which really helps you develop and think. And apart from that, as Alison had said that we are assigned a personal tutor right in the beginning of the year. You can always schedule a session with your personal tutor, because initially I was extremely overwhelmed by how different it is compared to what I had experienced earlier. So I used to have regular sessions with her, wherein she used to take me through the expectations of an assignment. Like, we had this assessment criteria, and for me, that is literally the holy grail that you should hold on to when you're approaching an assignment, because they clearly articulate that if you want your assignment to get a merit grade, then just follow these guidelines. If you want your assignment to get a distinction, then you follow these guidelines. So you can literally design your assignment around your assessment criteria. So this is something which I thankfully learned on very early on in my course, which is why I was able to possibly graduate with a distinction. So that is one very big tip. And also one more thing is that I was never used to going to a library and studying. A library for me was literally non-existent when I was pursuing my bachelor's. But when I started studying in Sheffield, I probably spent more time in the library than my accommodation. Because I mean, it doesn't mean that I was studying all the time. The library kind of became a place where I used to hang out with my friends as well. So I mean, I'm not advising you to do that, but it's a good break from your studies. So and the resources that you can avail, for example, for me, I am not much of a book reader. So to compensate for that, there was so many resources available online that you could easily refer to and download, and like totally depend on that when you're working on your assignments and all of that. And also one more thing which I clearly remember, and which really helped me in my course, was that we used to have these tutorial sessions, wherein for example, my course, which is human resource management, we had a our class was huge. We had like over 100 people in our course. And I mean, I was shy to interrupt the class and ask a question. So in that case, tutorials really helped me, because our entire class used to be divided into smaller groups of like say 10 or 15 people. And we used to be assigned a tutor in the tutorials, who used to take us through the topic covered in a lecture. So it was more intimate and it was more in detail. So you could totally ask whatever questions you have, whatever doubts you have, wherever you've been stuck, and get everything clarified. So that is one thing I would totally recommend you to go for. And one more thing is that apart from academics, the student life. So life as an international Indian student in Sheffield. So it was my first time going to UK, and through the Facebook group that I was talking to you about, I managed to make two really good friends. And the three of us were actually traveling to UK for the first time. So we planned our entire trip together. So we flew from India to UK together. So it was great. So even our parents were very stress free about sending us away to UK, because they were convinced that we are going to be there for each other no matter what, like while traveling. So and then we reached Manchester, and many of the meet and greet ambassadors had come down to Manchester airport to pick us up. And that's when they introduced us. So basically, I knew them through the Facebook group. So it was literally like I was meeting a virtual friend of mine finally. So it didn't feel new as such. So I was very instantly familiar with the entire surroundings. And so before the introduction week, we usually have the orientation week, and I would totally advise everyone to go during the orientation week, because that is the time that you get to warm up to Sheffield and make friends, get yourself used to the city, and your accommodation as well, meet your flatmates beforehand. So and you have and when I went, we had organized the university had organized a couple of fun activities to kind of introduce us to the Yorkshire culture, South Yorkshire culture. So I clearly remember my first night. I was supremely jet lagged, and then there was this pie session. So we had chicken pie with mushy peas, and I still remember I was feeling so nice after eating that. I was very skeptical about British food because um, before going to Sheffield, I did not hear very amazing things about British food, but I was extremely surprised by that, by what I had eaten. And of course, the chips. That is something I still miss every day. And apart from that, one of the other reasons why I had chosen Sheffield was because, as Samreen had pointed out, it is an extremely student-friendly city, and it is literally like University of Sheffield is more than half of Sheffield. So you literally run into your professors or classmates wherever you are, and also the people in Sheffield are Yorkshire, especially, they are too friendly. Like initially, I was taken aback by how friendly people were. Like, because I was not very used to that initially. But then it took me some time to get comfortable with the fact that people are genuinely friendly and they don't mean any harm. So so being a single girl, it was also very I also had to be very careful. But then being a girl, I would totally I used to leave my library at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. in the morning, and I used to walk back home alone, and I never felt unsafe. So, from that perspective, Sheffield is a very, very safe place to live in. And apart from that, the university, like as Alison had pointed out about the Indian Society, so I was a part of the Indian Society as well, because whenever I used to feel homesick, we used to organize a lot of movie nights where I used to watch Bollywood movies together. We celebrated Diwali together on a very, very large scale. And honestly, I have attended more Bollywood nights in Sheffield compared to India, even though I lived in India for like 20 years before that. So there was not a single moment where I felt homesick, also because I had some amazing friends as well. So yeah, these are some of my bit experiences in Sheffield. And apart from that, because I got introduced to the international student ambassadors before even I went to Sheffield. When I went to Sheffield, after a few months of me getting used to my life in Sheffield, I applied for the role, and I also became an international student ambassador and a meet and greet ambassador too, and it kind of completed the entire circle for me. So the people who had helped me, I really aspired to be that kind of help for the upcoming batch. So yeah, one tip was that apart from focusing on your academics, also please involve yourself in all the other opportunities that your Sheffield, the university, has to offer. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Suparna. That was really helpful. And obviously, that just reminded me and made me nostalgic about my university days. And I'm sure it did that to Kritika, Akshit as well. So over to you, Deepika. I know I can see a lot of questions on YouTube. So if you can maybe ask us and however you want to go about it, so we can answer some of those questions.
Yes,
Thank
sure,
you so
sure.
much.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Lovely presentation. So we are moving towards the Q&A session. The first question from a student, he wants to ask, what is the deadline for the September 2021 applications?
Okay, I'll take this one. Since we've already mentioned that there are different deadlines for mostly all the courses. So the stage deadline, which we showed in one of our slides, would be for the stage courses that include courses under management, Information School, Computer Science, Architecture and Economics, and Digital Media and Society. And mostly all the other courses will be by and large open till the 31st of July. But we encourage the students to apply as soon as possible for September 2021 intake, because the seats can be full at any point of time. So yeah.
Thank you, Samreen. The next question, are you hosting career days during the program?
Alison, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, I can answer that. So the university itself usually holds one career fair a year, but the City of Sheffield also holds a career fair. So this year is obviously very different. It was done virtually, but we're hoping it will be within the government guidelines, obviously, face-to-face for the next academic year. It is where we invite employers from all around the UK to the university, and the City of Sheffield one is similar, and they will, it's the chance for students to network directly with companies. But as mentioned, specifically the management school has Futures First, which is its own career advice centre, so they will also hold specific sort of smaller scale one-to-one sessions with specific employers. And it's important to note that there are some local employers that obviously know the quality of our graduates that have specific openings and will specifically come and speak with the Careers Advice Centre at Sheffield, wanting to have a list or make it open to Sheffield graduates only for some specific jobs, because they know the quality of our students. So yeah, we regularly hold one sort of big career fair, and then the city does a separate one as well. And obviously students can have access at least 5 days a week to the Careers Advice Centre, the main one, and the University Management School one as well.
Thank you,
Thank
Alison.
you, Alison. Deepika, I will just share quickly on the screen where the students can go and book these open days. Deepika, can you quickly share your screen and show them? Okay, I think there's a problem in loading. No worries, Deepika. We'll move on to the next question, and maybe in the end we can display those web pages.
Okay, so the next question. Will I be granted a post-study work visa based on student visa, or do I need to reapply separately?
As we mentioned during my presentation, that yes, all the students graduating after summer 2021, UG, PG, and PhD can apply for the GIR visa. They will have 4 months extra time, obviously, when they get their entire study visa, to apply for the same within the UK. And you should have your visa application fee of £700, the IHS surcharge fee, your CAS letter, and obviously successfully completed your degree, whether UG, PG, or PhD. UG and PG students will get a 2 years post-study work visa to stay back, and PhD students will get a 3 years GIR visa to stay back.
Thank you, Samreen. Moving towards the next question. Hey, I want to apply for International Relations Masters. Do you have that course?
Do you want me to come in on that one? Yeah, we do offer international relations. Like I say, we can pop some links in the chat box, but it's under our politics department. So again, if you do have a nosy on our main website pages, and it will list all the different courses. But yes, international relations, it is under our politics department, and yes, we do offer that postgraduate course.
Thank you, Alison. Moving towards the next question. Can I enroll in your master's program with an undergraduate degree in international management without work experience?
I'll answer that one if you want. If not, yeah, you can. You don't need work experience for the IM program. We do have some people on the course with up to maybe 10, 12 years of work experience, but we also have people who have come straight from their undergraduate degree, and that's the majority of students, to be honest. So it's a nice mixture. So you will get exposed to people with work experience, but you won't in any way be disadvantaged, if you don't have any, and we welcome that and we'll help you develop the skills that you need to go on and get your first graduate job. So.
Thank you, Tom. The next question. When is the deadline for accommodation? Is accommodation secured for international students?
I'll take this one. Yes, so international student is accommodation is available for all our international students and it's guaranteed. We accept applications usually till the 31st of August. So we guarantee university owned and managed accommodation to all students, provided that they usually apply by this set date of 31st of August. This is obviously TBC, depending on the examination results, etc. But as an international student, you will be guaranteed to get an accommodation with the university.
Thank you, Samreen. The next question is, what are the top 5 employers for Sheffield?
Do you want to take that one, Alison?
Yeah, I can come in and take this one. So honestly speaking, I don't know the very top 5. We do have obviously some of the big names, like that was on one of the screens, PricewaterhouseCoopers. We've got a lot of engineering companies within the city of Sheffield. If you look at the history, I'm sure you may have heard about the steel industry in Sheffield. So we do have a lot of big steel companies that are big employers in the local area. We have links with Rolls-Royce, which I'm sure you've all heard of, or I hope you have. So yeah, I mean, we've got some big names such as that, IBM, computer related, within that we have a lot of our graduates go on and work for. The top 5, I must admit, I don't know off the top of my head, but we do have, like I say, some of the big employers. We welcome them to the jobs fair, and they do employ a lot of our graduates. But also it's worth noting that there are some really good smaller companies within the local area. So for example, Rolls-Royce doesn't operate successfully all on its own. It has a lot of smaller companies. As you would obviously know, in, say, for example, in the supply chain management course, it needs a lot of suppliers to help those companies perform well. And some of those companies can be the smaller, probably unheard of in India companies that actually offer some really good employment opportunities to our graduates in the local area. So I know that didn't exactly answer the question, but I hope it gave a good insight.
Thank you, Alison. To the next question. Do you have information on average earning post completing your master's in international management?
So I'll answer that one. We don't have information on earnings after completing your master's. We do have information on, and that's because of when our master's program starts in September and ends in September. So because it's a year-long course, there are some issues around collecting that data. As Suprana said, you will be taught to critically evaluate statistics and see where the sources of information come from. So, but on our undergraduate international management course, the average earnings of our graduates is £28,000. So we approximate a similar amount for the masters in international management as well. So that's the best we can do. No, we don't have the exact earnings, but that's how we think about it.
Thank you, Tom. The next question is, hey, I completed mass communication bachelor's in 2018 and have gap of 3 years. Can I apply for master's? Any 1 year of course available with placement?
Okay, I'll take this one. Yes, you can apply for our journalism courses. We do have, all of our courses are 1 year courses, but unfortunately we do not have a placement year for our postgraduate courses.
Thank you, Kritika. Yeah, do you want to say something? Okay, thank you, Kritika. To the next question and the last question. The student wants to ask, I am looking forward to pursue my master's in mechanical engineering in September 2022 intake. I want to know about the academic requirements for Indian equivalent CGPA.
I'll take this one. Yes, definitely you can apply for mechanical engineering courses. These are very high achieving courses. So we require first class from your university. The first class degree from your university would be a good point to start and make an application. Obviously, that does not guarantee an immediate admission into the degree, into the course, because you've got first class. Once you make and submit your application, we will then evaluate your complete application and how it weighs amongst the other competitors and other students who applied, and then we will share our decision. So you can definitely apply if you're currently having first class from your university up to a certain grade or up to the certain semester as well. So definitely you can apply then.
Thank you, Samreen. We have one more question. The student wants to ask, I am an offer holder for MSc Data Science 2021. Can tell me about placements? Any data to help?
Alison, do you want to take this one?
Yes, hi. Hopefully that student, we did a really good offer holder session actually the other day. So hopefully they were attending that with one of our academics, Deep, who's actually from Calcutta, same as Sapana, and is now teaching at Sheffield. If not, I'm sure we can put you in contact with them for some specific questions. But yeah, just to kind of highlight, similar to what my colleague Kritika mentioned, the majority of our postgraduate courses are full-time taught programs over 12 months. So they start in September and run for 12 months time. And that's full-time teaching with a lot of self-study assignments as well. So you can work alongside your degree 20 hours on a student visa. So you can find work alongside your degree if you wish, potentially as a student ambassador, as Sapana was. But regarding, say, the placement, as the question stated, that is where now it's really advantageous of having the graduate immigration visa, where it allows students to graduate and then obviously apply separately for the 2-year stay back option, and where they can find work opportunities for 2 years. But the majority of our courses, aside from one in the engineering department, is a full-time 1-year taught program. So there isn't a guaranteed placement, industrial placement as part of the course. So I hope that clarified that point.
Thank you so much, Alison, for the answer. And thank you so much, Suparna, Kritika, Samreen, Tom, and Akshit for your valuable time. So we have no more question ahead. If you want to say anything to the students, please.
Thank you so much, Deepika, for having us today. And thank you so much, Tom, Alison, Kritika, Akshita, and Suparna for being here. I just quickly want to say that we are obviously a Russell Group top 100 university and have a lots of pros. And as a university and as an Indian student, when you look at a university to apply, we have great ranking, reputation. We have got a great location. We are very accessible. We are safe. We are quite affordable, as I mentioned, and have great employability skills as well. So definitely, please make your application today and apply and use SI UK services to make your application. Thank you so much once again, and thank you so much, Kritika.
Thank you so much. So we are coming to the end of this session. So, bye-bye. Nice to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Nice to see you all. Goodbye.
Bye.